Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Let me make sure I am up. I'm seeing green, so I'm going to take that as if I am up. Guys, I still have a UFO one coming up, but that one is going to be after this. I want to talk about this first. Okay, just check my mic. Give me 1 second. Levels good. Perfect. So first, I want to thank everyone for coming to the show tonight, whoever gets here. First, the way I start off most of my shows, at least I'm trying to, I want to thank everybody who contributes to the show, whether it's through Patreon, whether it's through Super Cash. I want to thank the people who watch, who like, who share, hell, even if you dislike. If you sat here and gave me the benefit of the doubt, thank you very much. You are absolutely appreciated. On Wednesday, coming to the show at 5 p.m. is going to be Grant Cameron. I have a UFO thing after this, but I want to talk about this first because this has been on my mind. Grant Cameron is going to be here. That's going to be an amazing interview. Hard Bastard is going to be here immediately after him at 7 p.m. That is going to be an amazing interview. I did a really horrible video on the last one, so hopefully I can redeem myself on this one. It turned into a bunch of gossip. At a certain point, it started off, I think, with a decent premise. Hard Bastard goes, he said Jimmy Dore's cognitive dissonance. My original argument, I think, fell apart somewhere when I realized, well, wait a minute, it doesn't really meet the definition of cognitive dissonance, and kind of depends on what your definition of cognitive dissonance, what he's calling cognitive. It became this kind of maybe, which is not really a definitive judgment on anything. So it was not the best of the videos. This one is a little different. I have a lot of new subscribers, and I don't know how much of my content they've gone back to see. So some of the stuff I've done before, and this is one of those things that I routinely or periodically do. I would like to develop a concept. And the concept that I want to develop has to do with the way we organize ourselves around the world. How do we as human beings organize ourselves? And in having arguments about how we should be arranged and how we should be organized. How do you make those arguments, and how do you win that argument? Like, how do I justify the way I think the world should be versus somebody else justifying the way they think the world should be? And when I make a position and say, I think I'm right and I think them wrong, why do I think I am right versus why do I think that I'm wrong? They're wrong. Like, why do I espouse what I espouse? From the basic premise, let's assume, or let's bake into the cake that there is no God. Now, I'm not saying there's no God. I'm saying that any conversation that we're having, you can't necessarily take a God into effect. I don't necessarily know if your God exists. You don't necessarily know if my God exists. Take them off the table. They don't apply. You can't use religion in order to justify your particular belief system. Your belief system has to be justified through corporeal means. It's physical matter reality. For the second premise, there are real things and there are unreal things. That sounds weird. There are real things and there are unreal things. Human beings are real things. The planet is a real thing. We are a ball floating and hurling through the cosmos. That is a real thing. Cash is not real. Your government is not real. Your borders are not real. None of those things are real. Your culture, all of those things are malleable. Those things are not necessarily real. Those are things that we agree with, that we take on ourselves. Behaviors, attributes, all those things. They're just things that are vested into us and put into us. They're not necessarily real. The world itself is real. We have a society organized around something that's not real. Now, I can't necessarily tell somebody that they should organize themselves in any particular way, and certainly you can't necessarily have a standard that says one way is better than another, or you have to create that standard. The standard that I create here is life. I think real things are more important, meaning I think life and human beings are more important. If I think life and human beings are more important, I put that on somewhat of a pedestal. I think that is the thing that we should strive for, making life as comfortable and acceptable for the human race as possible. Now, in order for a human being to be safe and secure, a human being needs certain things to exist. Food, clothing, shelter, a sense of purpose, this kind of this affirmation of self. If that person doesn't get those things, that person will suffer. Meaning, the society itself should support the individual in the way that individual needs to pursue their affairs. It doesn't need to be overbearing. It doesn't need to be a big brother. It doesn't need to be any of that stuff. Allow that person to have a certain amount of self-determination. But the society itself should provide for the basic things that people need, meaning if those people need those things. Your technological skill and your technological know-how can make this world a paradise. There was a report that came out saying that the billionaires, just over the course of the last year, has enough to clean poverty 7 times over. Not to mention, even if you want to take the position that the poverty thing doesn't necessarily matter, I would argue that even if you take poverty off the table, you still have this other problem of the environment itself. I can't use God to justify my position. What I can do, though, is use existence itself. If what you're doing and what you're spouting is talking about a position that is, for all intents and purposes, unsustainable, then your position is a failed position. Meaning, if the argument is the capitalistic system is the best thing in the planet, and your system is eating itself, planet-wise, then you have a failed system. If you have this much poverty on the planet, when you have all the technological skills and resources to make this planet somewhat of a paradise, then your system has failed. This world can be different. You can have any world you want, provided you can deal with the arrangement itself. Meaning, whatever arrangement you as human beings come up with, there is no God above that's telling you how to arrange yourself. It's choice. It's purely choice. Now, yes, this kind of cultural stuff where people would make these little small permutations and everything else, I'm just making the point that it is an issue of choice. We choose how we arrange ourselves. We just have to deal with the consequences of the arrangement. The arrangement that we have now produces war, conflict, starvation, stress, this thing of alienated labor where people are disconnected from the things that they do. You have some people with magnificent amount of resources while other people are sleeping on the street. And you have a world that's falling the fuck apart. Not just social, environmental, meaning the behaviors and the habits that human beings take don't take into consideration the world itself. There is no such thing as a human being without that human being being somewhere. So the only place that we have at this point is planet home. If your model of the world and the game space that you create is creating a situation that incentivizes the destruction of the planet that you're living on, then I would argue that your arrangement or your argument for a particular arrangement fails on its face. If existence and persistence of that existence is the point, then that argument fails. Right now, we are in a system that eats itself. For all intents and purposes, we don't care about the environment. Everything boils down to how do you maximize your profit. If that means ExxonMobil finds out that climate change is an actual reality back in the 50s or 60s, they bury that report because it adversely affects their resources. If that means that you can buy politicians in order to get them to lean in a particular way towards legislation, yes, it may hurt the people that are around that area. Yes, fracking is going to cause earthquakes. Yes, it may fuck up aquifers. All those things. But the goal is to maximize profit. The goal itself is not necessarily to make life better. Those are different things. I'm saying your world doesn't have to be arranged in that peculiar way. That's what I'm saying. I don't have a staunch ideology in the sense of the world needs to be arranged in any particular way. It just needs to be consistent. And it needs to be consistent from the standpoint of what is the best spot for the human being. That's my bias. That is my bias. Right now, we're on a planet that scientists are saying falling apart. The planet is falling apart because of the behaviors that we ourselves are taking, that we ourselves are called normal, that we ourselves have become accustomed to. I'm saying that regardless of whether we feel these behaviors are normal and whether we think that the way we've organized ourselves is normal, it is destroying and destabilizing the planet. By definition, if you're doing something that's ending your existence, if the point is existence and persisting it, then your system is failing miserably. This is recent. 20,000 scientists give dire warning about the future in letter to humanity, and the world is listening. A dire warning to the world about the future, which predicts catastrophe for humanity, is continuing to gain momentum. The letter, which was first released in November, has now been signed by around 20,000 scientists, and the world seems to be listening. It is one of the most discussed pieces of scientific research ever, and its publishers claims it is now influencing policy. We have been told by the Democratic Party that there's an asteroid that's going to hit the planet. That's what we've been told. Meaning one party says climate change doesn't exist, the other party says it exists, but we're not going to do anything about it. There's an asteroid that's going to hit the planet, but hey, I'm going to sell fracking around the world because I'm just using it for a political gimmick. If they believed it, and you're still not doing anything about it, then you don't believe the science. I'm making this point that I don't care so much how a person arranges themselves. I'm just saying that arrangement should be consistent with what produces life and what extends life. And right now, the behaviors that we've been taking around the globe in no way does that. My system seems to be freezing. Let's see what's going on. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Yeah, this one is not going to be long. We've organized ourselves in such a weird fucking way. That's all. We get so accustomed to certain behaviors, we think those behaviors are normal. I mean, how do you work 40, 50 hours a day and you call that freedom? That's a bizarre concept. I mean, ultimately, you're just talking about a permutation from the slavery thing. You went from, serf to master to slave to master to consumer to boss. And it's just a permutation. That is not freedom. And life doesn't have to be that way. There is nothing that makes life the way that life is other than the choices that we take. As long as the arrangement that you guys are taking is consistent, I have no issue. The point I'm making here, though, is this arrangement is not consistent. The things that we're doing are killing us. That's what I'm getting across. In one of the articles, I've been showing these articles that are damning in regards to the catastrophe that's taking place around the globe. 40% of the extinctions that have taken place over the last 50 years, have taken place over the last 50 years. Think about that. 40% of the extinctions on this planet has taken place over the last 40 years. That is a monumental number of species that have been eradicated from this planet. Sperm cells, or sperm count, in men in the West dropped 40% over the last 50 years. The nutrient density in foods has gone down. They believe that part of the reason it's gone down is because of the amount of carbon that's in the air. That carbon is it's like food to the plant. That carbon being food to the plant is kind of like junk food at a certain point, which drives the nutritional density of the food down. This is stuff we're doing. This is us. Oil and gas production, fucking up the environment. Not even just oil and gas production. The systems of animal agriculture, same thing. These are things that we do that we consider to be normal, and these things are fucking up the planet. These things are based on this maximized profit aspect of our society as opposed to what is best for the human being. That's what I'm getting at. My system itself, or whatever system I think we can organize ourselves around, is just based on what is best for the human being. What preserves life? What promotes health? What is the situation that allows the individual to be free? What does that world look like? And function from that particular level. We're killing ourselves for the profit of a very few people. Now, we had a big issue with communism. Fair enough. We didn't like this thing of having a really small, tiny number of people who can control everything else, and it freaked a lot of people in America out. We have a top 1% that owns the overwhelming majority of the resources. How on earth is that different? Ultimately, whether you're talking about a state or whether you're talking about an individual corporation or something, you're still talking about a very tiny section of people controlling massive resources over everyone else. Nobody was here to give anybody anything. Anything that's taken or owned was taken because it was stolen and somebody was killed in order to get it. This world is common heritage. That's the way I see this. I see all of this to some degree are just systems that we ourselves are functioning in. It's not necessarily real, and it can be changed to something better. So, we're killing ourselves. That's my main point. The system is unsustainable. That is also my main point. And any system that you're going to take on, that system needs to be consistent. That's all I'm saying. Whatever it is. This is not me advocating anything in the sense of, it is, but it's advocating in a different way. I am not ideologically bent from the standpoint of it must be this way, or a person must be a Marxist, or must be. I don't really care about that. There is no place to go back to. There is no place that we're necessarily going to. We choose. We choose. What's better? What's a better spot? What's the best thing for the human being? Not to mention, what's the best thing for the planet? If anything happens to the planet, it's going to happen to us. We are inextricably linked to this particular world. So, this one is not going to be long. I'm going to bring other people in on it. Let's see. Come on. Come on. The Russian internet sucks. The Russian internet does suck. Need to build soil and inputs. Jamal, are you a vegan? I am not a vegan. It's cold and rainy streets of Los Angeles. As hepatitis A is spread by the homeless defecating in and the streets for lack of humane hygiene. Jim Hyde. It's kind of my point. It doesn't have to be this way. Think of, what is the point of technology if you're not using that technology to make human life easier? You can automate your entire world for the most part. And I'm trying to put this in perspective. The issue that we have with technology is not the technology itself. It's us. All of this is us. Again, none of that stuff is real. The cash, the ownership, none of that stuff is real. The thing that's real is human beings, physical matter, reality. Those are the things that are real. We have technology that can meet all human needs at this point. All human needs. So, my stream seems to be getting rocky, so I am going to end this here. I think I made my point. I don't want it to go too long. All right, so I'm going to end this because my stream is my stream is getting weird. Oh, right. Yeah, that's supposed to call us. All right, guys, I'm going to kill this. Thank you guys for showing up. No, this is going to be named something different. This is not that exact one. That was my last video. So I will leave it at that. I'll put the article at the bottom. Thanks, guys. The UFO one is going to be up in probably about 10 minutes. So I'll see you guys in a few. Oh, wait. Our bastard can kick rocks. Deputy Chateau. He wasn't attacking Jim. Well, maybe a little bit. I don't think he was hitting him hard. Look, if you watch the video, he's not being mean to Jimmy Dore. No, he kind of is. He kind of is. He does have a point, though. Let's be honest. He does have a point. I don't... Nobody's saying he should leave. At least I'm not saying he should leave. Nobody's saying anything like that. But even if you disagree with him, you can see where he's going. So I will leave it at that. Let me change the name of this while we're at it.